Hey everybody, I've been asked to do a video on bug out bags. Now, to begin with, there's varieties of different bug out bags. And before we get started, I just want to let you know everybody's bug out bag is different. Your needs are not my needs are not your needs. I pack the way I see fit for the terrain, the environment, that I believe I'll encounter here. We have some pretty harsh winters here in northern Michigan and some pretty hot summers. So some of the things that you'll find in this bag, it's wintertime right now, some of the things that are in this bag are not necessarily the things that would be in this bag if disaster struck in early spring or summer. Uh, a bug out bag is really a living, breathing unit, and as things change, you need to adapt for that. Um, I also have a philosophy that I'd like to discuss, and that is that there's 24-hour bags, there's shit hit the fan bags, SHTF, and then there's inch bags. I'm never coming home, and so my philosophy is this, you guys. If at all possible, at all possible, I'm gonna bug in. This is where the bulk of my preps are. This is the safest place for me. I'm familiar with the environment and the surrounding areas, and I can circulate out from here, and I believe I could pretty well protect this area. But again, you never know. The old saying is prepare for everything and worry about nothing. And so as we go through this bug out bag, like I said, um, this is my bug out bag, not your bug out bag. You need to think about how it is that you live now and how it is you plan on living in an austere environment. So always keep that in mind. And so right off the get-go, let's just get a few of the external components of bugging out of the way. The first thing I'd like to get at is weaponry. If I'm bugging out, I'm certainly going to be taking some element of protection with me. This isn't necessarily the unit I would be carrying, but it is one very similar. It's an AR-15. It has been unloaded and cleared. This is my AR-15. This is a night vision scope on here. It's made by ATN. Lot of gadgets on this. It's all based on infrared. Deadly unit. You own one of these, you definitely own the Night. Very heavy the way it is. As you can see, I have it set up on a bipod. I have all of my weapons set up with bipods. Just in case I have to go prone, lay low to the dirt. I find it prudent to put bipods on here to steady myself in a low position, which is the most tactical position when under fire or attack. And as you'll also see here on the butt, I carry a tourniquet. I keep tourniquets on all of my weapons. I also keep them on my bags. The one that I typically keep on my bug out bag over here, and we'll get into this in just a second, is on my plate carrier vest right now. So depending again on the situation, I can transfer these components back and forth as I need them, but my primary weapon of choice is the AR-15. One of the reasons is that the ammunition is abundant. I believe you could roll over just about anything and find 223 or 5.56 NATO rounds. And so that's one of the primary reasons I chose the AR-15. The brand is irrelevant to me. Folks, this is all contingent upon your personal income. And so this fit mine nicely. My secondary weapon of choice is a Glock Model 17. I can hold with one in the chamber, 17 rounds in this. Very easy. And again, I chose this because 9mm ammunition is abundant. And again, I can see this needs cleaned. Shame on me. But anyway, that's one of the reasons. And to complete this part of the scenario, when you're carrying a backpack, carrying a standard holster isn't really practical. And so what I've opted for is the leg harness with a Blackhawk Tactical holster. Works very well. Hard to release, got to press and release to pull your weapon out. And so I find this to be very functional. I've done a lot of training with this setup, and found it to be extremely functional for me. Again, your needs or wants and comforts may be different from mine, so feel free. I always love input on these videos, ideas. I've watched hundreds and hundreds of bug out bag and shit hits the fan bags and inch bag videos, and this bag of mine really is a compilation of my needs combined with all the things I've learned. There's some really, really intelligent people out there, folks. But the main thing I'm going to stress in this video is redundancy. Okay? Redundancy when you're in an austere environment and your typical support systems, such as your medical facilities, grocery stores, things of that nature, gas stations, electricity, so forth and so on. A lot of these things will most likely no longer exist, depending on what type of disaster or shit hits the fan scenario that you're going to encounter. And so for me, this is what I have. And so we're going to start right off with the bag itself. This bag was about $130. It is a Fox Tactical. I chose this bag because it's kind of a cross between something that looks a little militaristic and a little more civilian. I don't know that it's really going to matter what the heck you look like in a situation like that. We've seen disasters in the past, and some quite recent. And violence is just inherent to disaster. You've got violent people in all situations, and it seems that the worst in them come out during disasters. And so again, like I said, I don't know that it really matters the look you're trying to go for. A lot of people talk about gray man. You know, me personally, I go with the idea that if you look like a victim, you're probably going to become a victim, or at least someone's going to attempt to make you a victim. I like to vie on the side of looking like anything but a victim. The way you carry yourself, the way you look around, how alert you are, and how determined you seem outwardly in willingness to protect yourself, I think has a lot to do with whether or not somebody dares approach you or not. And again, prepare for everything and worry about nothing. And of course, that's always easier said than done. There's always a degree of fear in a disaster situation. So before I tear into this bag, I want to get into just a few more external components that will be carried on the belt or along the waist area. And so to do that, we're going to get into a few items. This right here is a Schrade knife. It is a full tang, very heavy duty knife. I love the way the grip feels. It's kind of a textured rubberized feeling. It's a 9-inch blade. Again, like I said, full tang. As you can see, that steel is over a 1/4 inch thick, and just a wonderfully balanced knife with a fantastic edge. I like the way this feels. You can buy these knives, all of this stuff, I'll put links in the video as we go along, but this particular knife right here is about $38.70. I'll just round that off to about $40 depending on where you get it. And as much as I don't like to give Amazon all my business, unfortunately that's ultimately where I wind up many times. But there's a lot of outlets to sell these. Again, I own several Schrade knives of this style type, a little bit different. But this, again, a good full tang knife is imperative in a bug out situation, especially for a bug out bag. I highly recommend this knife. BK puts out a really good one also. So just look around and see what fits your needs and your budget. The other thing I like about this is the sheath. Very well built sheath, multiple options for how you want to mount it to yourself. I personally would carry this on my belt. The other thing I like about this, and again, you'll see the redundancy in this, is it comes with a ferrocerium type rod, fire starter, and something always to have. Redundancy to me is imperative in an austere environment. The more ways you have to accomplish an objective, the better off you're going to be, because if one fails, one of the other 3 or 4 or 5 will not. So anyway, there's that. The other thing is wood preparation when you're out. This is a Sog folding saw. They have multiple different types, styles, brands. The ones I'm showing you folks aren't necessarily the ones I'm recommending that you buy. I'm just showing you what I inevitably wound up going with. I bought several of all of these and ultimately wound up settling on the particular ones I'm going to show in this video. But this Sog folding knife processes wood quickly, quick release, locks into place, good positive lock, tighten her down. I've processed a lot of wood with this. As you can see, it's well worn. Very good, fast sawing knife. Very little exertion to accomplish your objective when processing wood, whether it's to build a shelter or to process wood for a fire. And again, we're talking about an austere environment. Look, we all have chainsaws, but again, you might want to sever ties when it comes to these situations with technology. Again, fuel, electricity, things of that nature, tap, turning them on and water coming out of them. These things all very well and easily could be a thing of the past, as has been seen in recent disasters around the United States. So there's that. Another handy unit to have that carries on your belt also is the Sog Folding Shovel. These things are very small, a little bit heavy, not as light as what I'd like to see them, but I really don't want to pay $150 for something to be a little bit lighter. I'd be more willing to exert myself a little bit. Listen, when the adrenaline's running and you got to get the hell out of Dodge, I don't think a couple extra pounds are going to matter a whole hell of a lot. I like this one because I'm familiar with the brand and I've liked all the other products. This thing right here, as you can see, just folds out. Tighten it down with this screw on the side. You have this digging edge for spading, or you can do it this way if you're trying to shovel, or you can just put it straight up and use it as a standard shovel. It's a very versatile tool, very reasonably priced. It seems to me that this shovel was around $20. Not much money for what you're getting. I'll tell you, I like the sheath that it comes in. They could have done a little bit better on the back strap. I don't know how long that would hold up to all the wear and tear. But regardless, one way or another, I would continue carrying this, whether this sheath failed or not. Again, if I had to complain, I would say it would be in the carrying capacity of this unit. But as far as the unit goes, it seems very well built. I've had a couple of these. I used the one for a very long time. Folds down again, like I said, very compact, and fits into the sheath. If you do get one of these and you don't want to upgrade the sheath, either have one made or throw a few extra stitches through this back strap here, and I think you'd be a lot better served. But like I said, I love the unit itself, but the sheath that comes in is not the best quality. The other thing that comes in handy, and we'll discuss that too, two things I want to point out. This knife right here, I've actually chopped down trees with this thing that are about 4 inches around without any effort whatsoever. But again, you know, no more weight than what this is. This little hatchet unit here, made by Allen, okay, pretty inexpensive. I think I got maybe 20 bucks into this, $25. A little flashier than I like it. I don't like shiny things, especially in a bug out situation. But this, I don't know if I would carry it on my belt, or it's so small and so light, I'd probably just tuck it into my backpack someplace. But regardless, the thing is, and these are just suggestions, folks. It's not that any of these are set in stone. I'm showing you again what I do. What you choose to do is entirely up to you. The other two things, and then we'll get into the bag, is a machete. There's a lot to be said, again, like I said, and it depends on the environment you live in. But machetes, this one again is made by Schrade. It's a 22-incher. It's got a 16.5-inch blade. I've used this a lot. It hardly even shows that I've wore and tore on this thing. No rust, no dings. The paint is held up well, the finish. Stainless steel blade, and very well balanced. And just an incredible cutting edge on this. I modified it a little bit sharper than what it was when I bought it, but very pleased with this product. Again, like I said, Schrade, I've owned numerous different products from that company, and I have yet to be dissatisfied with any of them. So again, like I said, whatever fits your budget, I find them all to be fairly affordable. But this machete here was about $42. Now this one has an incredible sheath, very well built, very strong, very rigid, very sturdy. I added the leather to the end. I do that with all of my knives and hatchets. It's just a lot easier to wrap that around and stay in control of this. A lot less likely to drop it, slip out of your hands or whatever. It helps to eliminate some of the opportunity for injury. So again, not plugging for Schrade. Don't really care what you buy, but again, my experience with this company has been very good. Okay, last item for the external is a good compass right here. Now, I can't say this is the best compass. You'll just have to experiment, and that's something else to think about, is learning how to navigate. Compasses are imperative, especially if you want to continue in one straight direction. There's a lot to learn when it comes to compasses, and that would be an entire video in and of itself, but I strongly recommend everybody get one. You never know when it's going to come in handy. You get lost, at least you can continue in one straight direction. So now, that being said, let's move on to the bag. Again, like I said, this is a Fox Tactical. It was a little bit over $100, about $135 or so, I believe. And it holds the weight. My bag weighs in, as is, at about 52 pounds. And I know that sounds like a lot. I weigh 160 pounds, and they always say you should carry about 1/3 of your weight. Again, I don't plan on strapping this on just because there's a windstorm or some miscellaneous trivial situation. If I put this on and I'm heading out, there's going to be a damn good reason for it. So the weight to me is irrelevant. I've hiked with this numerous times. As much as I don't enjoy it, I find no problem carrying 52 pounds. It carries very well. But again, you pick the bag that best suits you, and you experiment with the weight. If you fill a bag, you need to be sure that you can walk at least some distance with it. People talk about when they put these bags on that, you got to be able to walk 10, 20, 30 miles. Listen, when I get out of here, I don't plan on walking 10, 20, 30 miles. I'll take my vehicle as far as I can get it, if I can get it at all. If not, I can get to where I'm bugging out to, I assure you, on foot with this. Even if I have to do it in 1 mile intervals or 5 mile intervals is irrelevant. I guarantee you this bag and my weaponry, along with whatever else I need, will make it to point B. So anyway, let's go to the bag. Let's go to the front compartment first. Lots of different things. Again, this is my bag, not yours. Hydration. Again, I'm not plugging for any particular company or brand. These Myo energy drinks, these are caffeine additives for water. Flavor is going to be essential. Just drinking water all the time. I have several flavors. Electrolytes, this one's for electrolytes. This one has caffeine, and I think I got one more in here. Yeah, and this one's a caffeine and vitamins one also. But anyway, these are just real simple things to add some flavor to what could be a very stressful and flavorless world you're walking into. Nature doesn't come with a lot of flavors, and so that's what I do. The other thing I keep in this outside one is a spork. Well, so much for that. Thank God I got 20 of them. But anyway, these things are handy to have. So keep those handy. Anything that you can do for flavor, keep your energy up, whatever. Okay, this compartment right here, it's full of lots of goodies. There's a lot to be said for rope. I keep lots of rope on hand. Fire starter. Again, like I said, you will see that redundancy is essential. For me, I have some ink pens. This is a Fox Outfitters micro dry towel. I've used this numerous times, very good. Lifestraw. I think this Lifestraw here, there's two different types of Lifestraws. I'll show you them both. Here's one. And here's the other. Okay. This one right here, this Lifestraw on the tether, costs about $12. Okay, this one will process about 4,000 liters or 1,000 gallons of water. Okay, it takes everything out down to 2.0 microns or 0.2 microns, pardon me. And like I said, it processes an enormous 1,000 gallons. My God, I don't know if I've ever drank 1,000 gallons of water. But anyway, that being said, and then this one here is another Lifestraw. And this one here is about $42. Okay, the difference between these two is obvious. This one processes a lot more water than this one does, but this one has filters that you can change, carbon filters that you can pull out and change the filters in this. I bought one because I wanted to see how it worked. Works real good. I can't tell the difference between the two in using them, but this one by far is cheaper. Like I said, 12 bucks, $11.99, and it does, my gosh, you know, 1,000 gallons. If you had 3 of these, they weigh virtually nothing. If you had 3 of these, you'd be set. But again, like I said, you'll see that I am very redundant in wanting to be able to accomplish my objectives. So that being said, the other thing I keep in here is Polar Pure. It's a water disinfectant, okay, and it depends on the temperature of the water. It's got a gauge on the side. And right there, as you can see, Polar Pure. It kind of leaves, it's not the best tasting stuff in your water, but you're not going to get sick from it. Okay, its active ingredient in here is crystalline iodine. Okay, which is good for you. But it does disinfect, so I keep that. I keep the directions for that as well inside my backpack, just in case. So we've got that. Ink pens and a pad of paper in a watertight container. Never know when you got to jot something down or make notes. Absolutely keep maps of your local area in your backpack. It's imperative. Okay, you have to know where you're going. You need to be able to figure out landmarks. If the electronics are still working, GPS, whatever, things like this are extremely handy. So, reaching further down, I know it may sound funny, but quick energy. I have real cinnamon, hasn't been radiated, and honey. Again, 2 things. The honey's for energy. This stuff, cinnamon, adds flavor if you're making a cup of coffee or tea or whatever it is you're doing. But I like to keep stuff like this hidden throughout my bag. It adds just about virtually no weight. And so I find it important, again, like I said, to keep things like this on hand. Just because it's austere doesn't mean you have to be completely miserable. So I'll put links to this in the video as we go along, like the Polar Pure, where to get it. You can try it out if you want. It's fairly inexpensive. I don't think it costs an awful lot if you ask me. And again, like I said, I keep a couple of other pens around, red one and a black one. You never know when you need to leave a note on something for somebody. But anyway, and I also have an extra pair of reading glasses, and I have a few pair of these. They're very tiny, but they would allow me to continue to be able to read. I'm 56 years old and my eyes suck. So that's that compartment. And again, folks, build this the way you live. How I live is completely different than how you live. So one of the other things I keep in here is a little carving set. It's got a little light on it. You got to check the batteries in this stuff. Like I said, this is a living, breathing tool. You need to check this stuff. But here's a nice little carving set. Again, this thing weighs virtually nothing, and it would allow me to, if I had to do whatever, if I had to cut a bullet out, God forbid, or anything like that, a sliver, carving, I may need to carve something. But little things like that can make life a whole lot easier when you're trying to survive, again, like I said, in an austere environment. I'm going to put this stuff back as we go, if you don't mind, folks. These things are a pain if you take it all out and then put it all back. I go through mine about once a month, whether I need to or not. Let's go to a couple of these other external units right here. This is an add-on. This right here is cordage. I keep lots of cordage around. I'm telling you, it comes in handy. As much camping and stuff that I do, I always look for cordage and use it. I've got these tied off in different lengths, all tethered, so depending on the length of cord that I need, I can just pick one off here that's most suitable for what I'm trying to accomplish. And on top of that, keep lots of little clips and things like that around. You never know what you're going to need or what you're going to run into, folks. So redundancy, again, like I said, is imperative. In this outer compartment, which is an add-on to this bag, keep lots of things like this. You can use this stuff for filtering. You can use it for around your face if there's smoke, whatever. So I keep lots of bandanas around. Again, these things weigh virtually nothing, so to have this stuff around is very handy. And if you can fit it in to eat up some voids in your unit, so be it. Here's another unit. Again, like I said, you'll see that I believe in redundancy. It's a Sawyer mini filter. This thing does enormous amounts. I think this thing does like 2,000 gallons of water or something like that. It comes with a little rubber straw. You can actually screw it right onto a water bottle. So if I was to take a water bottle like so, fill it up with dirty water, I can take this, screw it right on top, and I'm drinking clean water through this Sawyer Mini. That's one of the things I really like about it. Very versatile. Or you can just put the rubber straw on the end of it and drink right out of a mud puddle if you want to. I have yet to drink out of a mud puddle, but I have drank out of quite a few creeks that I typically and otherwise would not have drank out of. And have yet to get sick. So it works. Again, redundancy. You'll see that I'm a real lover of small little units. These are Altoid tins. I keep a lot of these around. Each one has its own function. This particular one has sewing needles, safety pins, and every different color thread in it, as you can see. It weighs, again, virtually nothing. And may save your arse in a pinch. You may need to sew a button on, an arm strap, who knows what. But anyway, that's one thing in this small outer pouch. This here is a watertight unit. It has the headgear for my walkie-talkie. So it's got the speaker and microphone system, a plug for my telephone charger, and we'll show you that here in a little bit while I keep some of this electronic stuff on me. Again, I look for weight all the time because, trust me, even the smallest amount of weight adds up. Fishing line, you never ever be without fishing line. I always use spider line. This stuff is, you have to cut it with a knife. You can't even cut this stuff with fingernail clippers. Really strong. You might need it for suturing. You might need it for fishing to get food or whatever. So fishing line, another tin right here. Like I said, I like my tins. This one has an extra set of rechargeable batteries, some braided bracelets, some matches, extra flints for a Zippo lighter, just a few odds and ends that a person might need. Again, this thing doesn't add a lot of weight. None of this stuff is heavy in and of itself, but like I said, trust me, you can get up to 52 pounds real easy packing one of these things full. This bag holds an enormous amount of stuff, more than you would ever think. And as I go along, here's the straw right here for the Sawyer Mini that goes right on the end of it, like so. And that again allows you to be able to drink out of a crick if you want to. I keep that right in there. And last but not, well, actually two more things in here. Wire for snares. Again, weighs virtually nothing. Snare wire. There's probably about 50 feet of snare wire on here. I could catch food with this if I chose to. And again, this stuff's coming out of just one little side pouch. This right here is nice. It is solar charge. You can crank it. Solar, and you can also put batteries in it if you choose. I personally don't want no batteries in it. It's also got an AM/FM radio on it, weather band, so very handy to have. And again, these things don't weigh a lot in and of themselves, but very nice to have. Okay, start packing this stuff back up. You know, folks, when you put this stuff together, again, like I said, prepare for everything. Don't take anything for granted. Anything can happen out there, folks. You need to be able to survive. That's the whole objective behind putting one of these bags together, is the survivability of the unknown. Let's see if I can get that all tucked back in the way it goes, and I'm sure I can. I've packed and unpacked these bags I don't know how many times. Like I said, you got to keep looking in on these things. You can't just take it for granted, put that stuff in there. You got to check batteries, although I don't recommend even leaving batteries in some stuff. So that takes care of that side pouch. Let's go to the top. Pair of gloves. You'll see I have a couple pair of gloves. Gloves are imperative. You don't want to cut yourself out there. A small cut, getting infected, could be a death sentence in an austere environment, especially when things are out of control. There's going to be a lot more bacteria in the environment, germs, viruses. Gloves are important. Safety is important. The other thing I carry, again, is a headlamp. These are rechargeable batteries, and as you'll see, I have a very easy, efficient way of recharging these batteries. Very bright light. Carry that right up top on the handle because that goes on my head. If I'm heading out, it's going up on top of the hat. Another thing on the external segment of this, binoculars. You always need to be able to assess your environment. They don't have to be expensive. These aren't. These are Tascos, 8x22s. So these things do the job. More than sufficient to be able to scope out your surrounding area, whether you're hunting or whether you're trying to evade people, whatever it is, or whether you're trying to look for people to seek refuge. So anyway, pair of binoculars, strongly recommend that you invest in those. And again, this is all on the external part of this bag. Now let's switch to the other side. Another add-on feature, I keep a knife. It was handmade by my cousin. Sentimental value, plus it's really handy to have a nice little knife around. You can't have too many knives. Well, you can, but again, this one's small, doesn't weigh a whole lot, good for skinning game, whatever, or just carving. Flashlight, like I said, I believe in redundancy. Just your standard mag light strapped to the outside so it's easily available. And inside this pouch, pretty basic, keep 4 30-round magazines, a 5.56 or 223, whichever you prefer. These are 5.56 NATO loads. I've got 4 mags, 30 each. Okay, that's 180 rounds of ammo plus the magazine that goes into the weapon. So it's a good start, and if you're smart and you really believe the shit could possibly hit the fan, you should be burying caches out and around en route to or at your bug out location. And again, God forbid we ever need any of this information or these tools. Maybe we'll get lucky and this thing will just sit and rot and I'll never ever have to use it. That would be a wonderful world if that were the case. But anyway, that's what this is. This pouch is dedicated strictly. I have a few little gun cleaning components inside here because gun maintenance is imperative. And then again, I carry 4 30-round magazines for my AR-15 inside of here. And those do add weight, but to me, it's worth every ounce. So I'm happy to carry it. That takes care of that. Now let's get to the guts of this bug out bag. I hope you guys can see this okay. I apologize if you can't. I'm doing my best. This pouch right here, as you can see, folds down. This pouch right here is zipped. Hygiene is essential. And again, how long will this stuff last? I don't know. God forbid we don't have the option or opportunity to replenish, but I keep everything in there from toothbrushes, deodorant, little bars of soap, fingernail clippers. So again, hygiene is really, really important, you guys. I think a lot of people overlook the importance of that. Nothing like, even if it's once a week, is all you can. Keep a thing of Clorox wet wipes in there, antibacterial cleaning wipes. Very, very important. So let's get to this. Again, flashlight. And this thing, you know, this one here, I probably won't be able to recharge. This is going to get me to where I need to be, and I'll just have to make means. We're going to have to learn to sever ties with technology at some point, especially if the disaster or tragedy is of such a magnitude that perhaps the grid is never coming back up, or maybe it's going to be 3 months or 6 months or a year. Who knows? It depends on what the disaster is, and believe me, the world is teetering precariously on the verge of any one of a dozen different disasters that could put us into that position. So again, redundancy. The batteries in this flashlight, I've turned it on and let it go, will run non-stop for about 16 hours. So they're very good batteries. This here, and as I said, and you'll hear me say it over and over and over again, folks, redundancy, redundancy, redundancy. This is a container I bought pre-packaged, has a ferrocerium rod, fire strike, okay, a tactical pen. Not that I think I'd ever need it, but you can use the end of this for smashing out a window if you have to, and it's an ink pen. Just glad to have an ink pen. My P38 can opener. I've got some of these shoved in just about every orifice of this bag. A whistle for signaling if you need to. I don't know that in that predicament I will be signaling anybody, leastways not in a noisy kind of way. Another compass. This is a good compass. Again, like I said, redundancy, folks. God forbid you got one. One is none and two is one. So another compass. Another flashlight, imagine that. So, another folding knife with a clip on it. And again, I bought this. I think this container, it's got a sharpening stone I keep in here. And then a multi-tool, which is nothing special. It's just a multi-tool, is what it is. So that's that. And again, ounces make pounds. A lot of people probably laugh at me for the redundancy and the ridiculousness of everything I have, but like I said, if I strap this bag on, folks, it's because shit got real, and I don't plan on coming back. Couple of 30-gallon garbage bags, some Ziploc bags. Don't know exactly what I'd use those for, but never hurts to have a little bit around. Who knows? I might need it for a rain parka, whatever. Mosquito netting, right there, put over your head. Mosquito netting, very important, especially if it's the summertime. And this here is, to me, extremely important. This is a boo-boo box. Let me move that out of the way. I try and keep a little bit of everything in here. Okay, vitamins, painkillers, of all different sizes, shapes, and colors. Rubber gloves for cleaning up wounds. Bag balm. Burt's Bees hand salve. You know. I'll be darned. Another flashlight. Imagine that. I have blood stop, I have eye drops, all different types of band-aids. This is potable aqua, again, additive to clean water. I have gauze pads, different types of prods, scissors, again, a little bit of everything, you guys. A little bit of everything. You put your medical kit together the way you see fit. Tweezers, hydration tablets. I keep a lot of these around. Again, more Band-Aids. So, like I said, you just, if there's really no option or opportunity to replenish your goods, folks, it's kind of a one-shot deal. Yeah, guess another flashlight. Yeah. Super glue, liquid skin, Carmex chapstick. These are all just ideas, folks. Triple antibiotic ointment cream. I've got a set of sutures in here. I keep a lighter in here. I said several sets of sutures. You just got to think outside the box. Prepare for everything. See if I'm missing anything in here that's of any importance. Like I said, build your little kit the way you see fit. Trust me, when you're in an austere environment, people get injured. Now, here's a couple other things I've got that I put in there. Icy hot patch. My back does not like me sometimes, so I keep one of those in there, use in an emergency. And in these part of the woods in the summer months, Rid-A-Tick. That's right, Rid-A-Tick, brought to you by people that don't like ticks. So, there's that. I have an emergency bag, medical bag, that is very comprehensive, that is completely separate from this bag. And I may do a video on that at some point in time, most likely. And again, God forbid we ever need any of this stuff, you guys. God forbid. Okay, now let's get into the real heart of this bag. Pop this, lay this bad boy open. Hope you guys can see this okay. I'm just going to flop this thing right open. There's a lot in here. Okay, this first item I'm going to show you, and again, at some point we're going to have to sever ties with technology, folks. But you know, there may be that window of opportunity until we can all get gathered together. You know, when a disaster happens, your family may be dispersed across 5 counties. We need to keep the lines of communication open and use technology as long as we possibly can without compromising anything. This right here has USB ports on it. Okay. I make sure all of this stuff is kept charged at all times. Like I said, you got to get in these bags. You just can't pack it and throw it in your closet and forget about it. You've got to maintain these things. This right here will charge my phone probably 50 different times. It's got all the different plugs and outlets for all the different types of phone and electronic devices you may need. Comes in a nice, cute, purple little carry pack. Yeah. So anyway, that's just one piece of technology in here. Extra pair of pants, clothes. Always think about, when we're talking about shelter in a bug out situation, you guys, think about this. The clothing you have on is your first line of shelter, okay? And always remember, cotton kills. So your first layers, thin layers, it's the layers of air between the layers of clothing that really keep you warm. So think in multiple thin layers, and that is, again, like I said, your first line of shelter in a bug out situation or in any type of survival situation. Clothing is really, really important. And so this area right here is chock full of stuff. So we have that. Okay, let's go to this first zippered section here. Okay, inside of here I have a lot of things. A couple extra pair of underwear, very important. Synthetic, of course. This here is to pull over my head, camouflage, and gets draped over my head. This here is a Baklava Inferno, and it's made by Ergodyne. Camouflage. I put this thing on, I overheat in it. Holy crap-a-moly, talk about BTUs. Synthetic socks. Try and stay away from the cotton. Again, like I said, folks, if you can do synthetics, that is the best thing to do to wick that water away. Even if you put wool socks on over top of it. You know, you can wear wool socks for 2 weeks straight and pull them off, and they're not going to stink. Wool inherently is antibacterial. And so as much of this synthetic stuff, even though people love the feel of cotton, once it's wet, it stays wet. And that's the problem, trying to dry it out. Cotton kills, that's the saying in survival situations. So if you possibly can, always work your way away from cotton. We'll tuck this stuff back up in here, like so. Because these bags never seem to want to go together the same way twice. I always think I've got the best situation figured out on how to pack my bag, and then I go to put it back the way I had it, and it don't want to go. Again, mossy oaks, not plugging for any. Good synthetic socks to wick that moisture away from my skin. If you get wet, you know, one of the most important things to stay warm at night too, people, in a survival or bug out situation, is to change your socks every night. Put your other ones out to dry. If you have the ability to clean them and let them dry. But keeping your feet dry at night when you go to bed. When you crawl in that sleeping bag or whatever it is that you're using for shelter, change your socks. You will sleep so much better. A good head covering for at night if it's winter, and a dry pair of socks does an enormous amount for morale and for the amount of heat that you retain. Okay, so very important, folks. And if you ever have to, I don't know how much camping a lot of you guys do, or any survival training, but the things I'm telling you come from the school of hard knocks. This in here is food. I won't pull them all out, but these are small packets that can be mixed in with anything. This one, everybody's favorite, Spam, which stands for spare ham, I would imagine. I don't know. Single classics. These things are inexpensive, and they have a shelf life of, my gosh, a long time. This one here I bought probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and its expiration date is still December 6th of 2019. Yeah, Spam. Okay, same thing with this one. What do we got here? Tuna Creations. I'm not much on tuna typically, but you know, I'm not eating for being a connoisseur of food out there. I'm eating to survive, and they have all these different flavors of tuna. Here's Tuna Ranch. Here's Tuna Creations. You can get these in chicken. They're inexpensive, and the shelf life on these, like I said, this one's use this by December of 2019 as well. So these things, you can put these in your bug out bag and leave them and not have to worry about them for a couple, 2 or 3 years. Here's some albacore in albacore tuna in water, and again, the shelf life on this thing is, yeah, clear out in 2019. I bought most of these almost the same time. The only thing I don't like is it's a product of Thailand. Yeah, I'm not sure how they are, but you know what? I imagine if you get hungry enough, you'd eat things that make a billy goat puke. So I'm not going to sweat it wherever it comes from. Again, and folks, you're going to have to learn to forage. Learn as much as you can about the native plants of your area, what's edible, what's not edible, and it's not that you can survive on that. You know, I say I take an AR-15 with me, but truthfully, in a bug out situation, if you're more worried about sustenance than you are defense, a pellet gun, a good pellet gun with a scope, is probably one of the best weapons you could take. Somebody in my group, I assure you, will be carrying my pellet gun, even if I have to double down. Because when it comes to gathering food, they're effective. You can get squirrels, chipmunks, birds. Trust me, I'd eat a blue jay and like it in an austere, grid-down environment. So don't underestimate the importance of 22s and pellet guns, because they're quiet, they're hard to pinpoint somebody if you're trying to stay low and avoid people. So here's just a few more ideas on the food thing. I have some vacuum sealed raisins. Raisins are really good for you. I vacuum seal all of this stuff. I bought a vacuum seal. It's one of the best things I've ever bought. Oatmeal, again, just add water. And I've got cinnamon, so if I want to add some flavors, I buy those multi-packs of the variety packs of different flavors, so you can get the strawberries and cream and banana and peaches or whatever it is. So, you know, flavor does a lot for morale in a bug out situation. So that's something I do. And, you know, no bug out bag is complete without Folgers coffee singles. They're like tea bags. You heat the water up and put one of these in there and just dip it up and down like you're English, you know, pretend you got some crumpets, instead it's raisins or oatmeal. But anyway, and you got coffee. I have to have coffee. I would treat these like gold bars. I actually ought to throw some of this other stuff out and triple up on these, to tell you the truth. I am a grump without my coffee. But again, we're just going to have to get used to that type of stuff. And then, of course, instant hot cocoa mix. Hot drinks will do a lot, especially in the wintertime. Like I said, think about the climate it is that you're going to wind up in. You have to change these things in and out with the seasons, folks. I just keep my summer stuff is in a tote, and when summer gets here, I just swap everything out of this thing for summer and throw it right on in and put my winter stuff on the shelf, and you know. So this takes some doing, and it takes some getting used to, you guys. You know, there's nothing easy about planning for the end of the world or shit hits the fan, or whatever you want to call it. Like I said, I call my bag I'm never coming home, because if I strap this on, I'm pretty comfortable at home. And if I strap this thing on, it's because shit got real and I gotta go. So anyway, more food just to hold me over till I get into a position where I have an established shelter. Again, like I said, here are some good leather defensive gloves. Good for warmth, good for keeping you from cutting yourself when you're working the knives. I do a lot of camping, sometimes solo, sometimes I take my boys out with me when they feel they can tolerate me for more than 24 hours. And one thing I did realize out there is that injuries are prevalent, you guys. And of all the survival videos and bug out videos that I've watched, people doing 24-hour bug out scenarios as practice and whatever, after a while you've seen so much, what you begin to realize is how paramount safety is in just slowing down and taking your time doing the necessary things you need to do to survive. Because once you hurt yourself, I was watching one and the guy was chopping wood, he had no safety glasses on and got a little chip of wood in his eye, and he was out of the game. Something like that in an austere environment, let me tell you, could escalate into a catastrophic situation. So please, folks, anytime, whether you're just out camping, out training, whatever it is, safety, 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 safety. Know where that knife blade is, know where that weapon is pointing, know where that hatchet, axe, or machete is swinging. Safety. I just can't stress it enough. So another pair of gloves, again, redundancy, folks. These are neat little things. I take a nice pair of wool socks and I put a fresh pair of underwear inside of these and a t-shirt, and I roll it all up tight, and then I wrap one sock over it this way and I wrap the other sock over it that way. So I got a cute, nice little bundle of freshness for the evening when I'm done hiking, bugging out, chopping wood, digging holes, whatever the hell it is I'm doing to try and survive. I at least can get myself into some fresh socks, fresh underwear, and a fresh t-shirt inside here, which again, like I said, is not cotton, because why? Cotton kills. That's right. Remember that, folks. Okay. Hammock. I'm not much on sleeping in hammocks, but until you get a shelter built, if it's wet, raining, whatever, and you'll see what I have to embellish this. This one comes with a Mosquito Net. It's camo. Got the straps and everything embedded right with it. So very lightweight, if you ask me, for what can be a shelter. I keep this in here. I find this to be more important than additional clothing. Again, like I said, ounces make pounds, but that's just the way it is. And then I keep a small little blanket in here for various reasons. So let's get into some of this. Remember what I was telling you about safety. Walking through the woods at night, even during the day. I have 3 different types of sunglasses or goggles that I keep around. These ones strap on. These are yellow. They seem to work best for both day and night, which is why I like them. And they just strap right on. They're not very much. I think these things cost me, I don't know, 18 bucks or something, 20 bucks. And they will protect your eyes. You strap these things on. When you're walking through the woods, a stick in the eye again could be a game ender. If you're by yourself or in a group, anytime you injure yourself, you begin to exhaust resources, whether it's band-aids, antibacterial ointments, cleaning solutions for your cuts, suture kits. Everything at that point becomes exhaustible. And so again, like I said, safety, safety, safety. Having a pair of goggles in your bug out bag or I'm never coming home bag is paramount. And I try and wrap them in plastic and keep them in this Crown Royal. I don't drink, so I buy the stuff so I can get the bags. And then I put the stuff on my shelf. Maybe I'll use it for a barter item or whatever. Or medicinal. So that's in here. Getting into the cooking stuff. Remember what I said about redundancy. This is a titanium pot set. Okay, very nice set. It's made by Toaks, T-O-A-K-S. It's titanium. It's very lightweight. I've used this thing a lot, as you can see. And inside it, now it's got the carry handle, so you can suspend it over the fire, which I do. I've done it that way. It also has handles on the side, so once it is hotter than the hubs of hell, you can hold it without burning the crap out of yourself. But what I do to consolidate space is inside of it. Yeah, another Crown Royal bag. Imagine that. I like these things. They're handy. A little camouflage cloth for wiping things out. And so let's open this up and I'll show you what's in here. I don't know how many of you people are familiar with Char Cloth. I did a short video on making Char Cloth. But this is a small little pellet tin that pellets come in for pellet guns. Poke a little hole in the top. Cut some pieces of cotton that will fit inside here and set this can in the fire, and you'll see smoke come rising up out of this hole. And when you're done, let it cool off, and when you open it up, when you're all done, what you have inside is what's called Char Cloth. One spark on this and you have embers that will start a fire in any weather. Okay, like I said, but you're going to see the ridiculousness in my redundancy when I say redundancy. I mean it. You look up that word, I'm there. So Char Cloth, if you don't know how to make it, look it up. Very important. Char Cloth, that's in my tin. This here is dryer lint. And it lights. If you got a little bit of that Char Cloth in a small little bird's nest of this and you get a spark in it, you have a fire, like I said. And I'll do some videos on fire. I did a bow drill this summer just to see if I could. Yeah, imagine that. More dryer lint. Okay, and steel wool. Now you ask, why would you have steel wool? Well, let me show you why I have steel wool. Because if you have a 9-volt battery and some steel wool, you have flames. Just a quick touch. See that? Do it again. See how fast that starts? Look at that. Can you see that? See that? And that starts a fire very well. So, 9-volt battery. I keep it inside of a pill bottle so it can't short out on anything. Lid on. Steel wool goes in the steel wool bin. That way nothing can short out and start a fire in your backpack. Trust me, it's happened. Not to me. The other thing that's really good to have is cotton balls with Vaseline on them. Okay? These things light with those ferrocerium rods fast. Very good thing to have. So this entire container is made for starting fires. So if I'm going to cook, everything's readily available. It's right inside of here. So we have Char Cloth, we have dryer lint, we have a 9-volt battery and steel wool. This is cotton balls. Remember what I said about cotton? I put cotton balls inside of this, and these are Char Cloth cotton balls. And you want to talk about light and fast? Yeah, all you need is to look at them. Just about. So, very good. And what else do I have in here? This is a handy little unit. Push it out, and as you can see, it gets glowing hot and starts a fire. I don't smoke, but I guarantee I could get some tinder going. I put a little piece of that Char Cloth on top of that. Can you see that glowing there, folks? Yeah, I'm sure you can. So that's that. I keep that in there. You recharge it right there. Yeah, USB port. Imagine that. Pretty cool, isn't it? Those guys think of everything. So there's that, and I keep that in there. Now here's something. I've got a lot of different bullets. They either get too old to use, or I sell the gun, which I seldom do, but if I do and I wind up with a lot of ammunition or something for a weapon that I no longer own, I take the lead out of the shells and I dump the gunpowder into this container. Now, I don't give a crap what it's doing outside. You get a spark on some of this with any of this involved and you have a fire. One thing I know is that you cannot survive. Fire is one of the #1 priorities. Fire, shelter, water, and food way at the end. So, like I said, redundancy, redundancy, redundancy. I don't know how many different ways. Not to mention I have all the things I need straight from the forest to make a bow drill fire, which, like I said, I experimented with that. I watched about 30 videos on YouTube on how to do a bow drill fire, thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be a drag. Actually, it was a lot of fun, and I got it practically the first try. And now I have another talent. And talent, education, knowledge doesn't weigh a thing in these backpacks. The more you know, knowledge is weightless. So, forgive me, you guys, for putting this stuff away as I go along, but like I said, I don't want to get done with the video and have to try and figure out how to cram all this back in. And oh, look at there, another Bic lighter on the side. Yep. Redundancy, folks. Stuff that back in there, and one last little item here. This here is an alcohol stove, and I love the crap out of this thing. I've used it a few times. It's got this heating element on the bottom, and oh my gosh, who makes this? S.H.T.F. It's an S.H.T.F. stove. Yeah, I should have known that. But anyway, this is a wonderful, wonderful little unit, but I'll open it up. Comes in its little carry case. Take the top off, and inside is this unit. You set that up, not on your backpack though. Okay, set that there, and this unit right here is one of them small little alcohol stoves. So it's got its cap, then you open this up and you light it. It's gasketed with a rubber gasket, so you can fill this up with alcohol. Okay, put the lid back on. It carries well, it doesn't leak. I filled this thing a half a dozen times and left it. Not a drop leaked out or evaporated. Very nice unit. And you just take it, you set it down in there, light it, set that on there with whatever it is, your oatmeal or your raisins or whatever it is, and light it, and this thing works like a dream. And it weighs virtually nothing, even with the alcohol in it. Like I said, obviously it all weighs something. I've got 52 pounds worth of stuff here with ammo and everything. So again, make sure you can carry what you can carry. If you have the budget, buy the lightest stuff there is on the market, because you can spend a lot of money on titanium and other things. But just another really nice unit to have. Strongly recommend this one. I like putting everything back in its packages where it goes, and obsessive compulsive about it almost. So there's that, goes in there. Put this inside another bandana so it doesn't rattle around and make noise. If you're hoofing your ass on out, you don't want shit rattling, making noise, going, hey, he's over there. So I'm a real stickler about things rattling around and being noisy. But anyway, like I said, that thing is made by S.H.T.F. I don't remember what I paid for that. Seems like it might have been, I don't know, 25, 30 bucks for that thing. The titanium, this titanium pot, which is all it is a pot, I think I paid, my God, I think that was like 45 bucks for that. But man, is it light and it's handy. So that takes care of that. I've got one more compartment here in this thing. Like I said, you'd be amazed what you can get into a backpack. And if you watch your ounces, I feel pretty fortunate having got away with just 52 pounds, to tell you the truth. So that's that. That's that. That there. And you come right up here. I'm not going to put that all back together. I'm going to show you one more compartment here, folks, and that's in the very back. And you'll be amazed, like I said, what I can get in here. Okay. Again, here's one of my favorite tins. I love these little tins. And inside of this one is my fishing rigs. Got some bug spray, fishing tackle, and then in each one of these Altoids tins I have different types of fish hooks and little rigs and swivels to be able to fish with. So again, it's all about compartmentalized and staying organized, at least as organized as you possibly can. And again, this stuff combined has some weight to it. But you know what? You got to have this stuff. If you're bugging out, you're getting the hell out of there, you got to have this stuff or you're not going to be long for the world. So anyway, that's in this back compartment. An anti-rattle bed sheet. I might just throw ferns in that, or bed pillowcase. I think it's Scooby-Doo. Isn't that sexy? Yes. All right. Yeah, look at that. But anyway, inside of here, I have a Goal Zero solar panel. And again, it doesn't weigh that much. This thing opens up. Weighs virtually nothing. This whole thing might weigh, I don't know, it might weigh a pound. Maybe, I don't even think it weighs a pound. But anyway, Goal Zero, I love these. I've got a solar generator. That's a little bit heavy. You couldn't just run with that, although I would figure out some way to haul it with me if I had to. But this thing is fantastic. On the back, as you can see, it has this zippered area, and it has all the different plugs for all the different scenarios, and it tells exactly what it is. In solar port for chaining, if I want to chain it to another, because I have more than just one of these. And what's this one? Port for power and USB output. So there's a little bit of something on here for everything. And this is how I plan on charging my batteries and my other things that I have. Because like I said, everything I have is rechargeable. If I own a battery, it's rechargeable. And this allows me the opportunity to recharge it. So this thing seems to me, I'll put it in the video, seems to me I paid for this, I think it was like 160 bucks maybe. I could be way off. I'll put it in the video like I said. But Goal Zero, I did a lot of research on this solar energy stuff. These guys are #1 in the industry when it comes to things of this nature. They have smaller things, they have much, much larger things. They've got units that will power your house. I think I settled on the Yeti 400 solar generator with a couple of these, and it seems to do just fine. But it's really important what direction you have this facing. Okay, now I think this is one of the last items I have in here. But what I have here is a 10 by 12 camo tarp. Okay, this thing's probably one of the heaviest things I have in the whole doggone backpack. But it's a heavy mill, great tarp. And so what I do is I create a tent scenario over top of my hammock. Remember the hammock I had in the other part of my backpack? This right here would hang over on a rope, on a string, on a piece of cordage, tree to tree, over top, brought down in a teepee situation, over top of my hammock to keep the rain and or snow off of me. And so I could survive in that, no doubt about it. I have a sleeping bag that I carry also, but I'm not going to get into that. Sleeping bags are sleeping bags. You want to get one that's most suitable for varied amount of climates. get one. I think mine's set for, I think mine's 20 below. I don't know that I would be comfortable at 20 below in it, but I would survive in it. So, and it's pretty lightweight, and that just straps to the top of my backpack. So anyway, like I said, finished out, I've weighed myself, finished out, not counting my weapon, is 52 pounds on the backpack. That's with the ammo that I carry in here, the Goal Zero solar panel, tarp, all of this stuff. So, folks, again, keep in mind, when you build these things, build them with yourself in mind. How are you going to travel? How are you going to live? That's the important part. Redundancy, redundancy, redundancy. Make sure you have everything you need to do whatever it is you need to do. If you can find one tool that replaces 3, get that tool. I don't care what it costs, okay? If you can find one tool to replace 4 things, get it. But the fact is, you need all of these things. You've got to have it. If you truly have to bug out, look at the people in California. They're in paradise. You know what? If something bad happens, I'm not going to a government-run facility to provide me with my wants and needs. I'm going to take care of my own ass, and I'm going to take care of the asses of those people I love. And it's just prudent that we do things like this bug-out bag. Now, folks, there's a lot bigger bags you can get. There's probably more comfortable bags you can get. But like I said, I don't plan on hiking 50 miles with this doggone thing. I plan on driving as far as I can possibly get, out of harm's way, as far as I can get. And if it comes to the end of the road, then I'll get out and I'll hike. But I have multiple options. I am blessed with living in an area that has enormous amounts of wooded area, rivers, creeks, water options, forestry. And so for me, bugging out's really not some big scary thing. I know the area well, and you should too. Being familiar with your surrounding area. In all seasons, the forest looks a lot different in the wintertime than it does in the summertime, and things like that. And you know, you think you know an area because you drive roads past it. Trust me, it looks a lot different from the forest looking back at the road than it does from the road looking back at the forest. So if there's areas you think that'd be a good bug out area, go check it out. Spend some time out there, look around, see what the resources are like, the wildlife, the plant life, cover, ability for putting up some type of temporary or permanent shelter. Again, like I said, who knows what the situation is going to call for. But anyway, always look forward to getting people's input, feedback, responses. I sure enjoyed doing this. I've been wanting to do one for a long time. A buddy of mine prompted me to do it. And so I finally thought I'd take the time, make the mess, and do it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something out of this, and I really appreciate you watching it. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. And again, I'd love to hear from you guys. Good luck and Godspeed.